All right, so you did it. After years of hard work, R&D, clinical trials, all those regulatory hoops, your product is finally approved. You feel like you've crossed the finish line, right? Well, that feeling, it's kind of a mirage. Because you haven't actually finished the race. You've just stepped into a whole new and way more complicated maze. This is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Especially for all you founders and innovators out there. Because what you do next, after you get that approval, can either lock in your market dominance for years, or can let all that incredible work just slip right through your fingers. So let's dive into it. This post-approval world really is like a legal and regulatory maze. Every little tweak to your product label, every update, every filing, it's a turn you have to make. And if you make a wrong turn, well, that can seriously weaken your product's protection, completely kill your momentum, and basically roll out the red carpet for your competitors. But today, we're handing you the map. Okay, let's start with the first, and honestly, maybe the most underestimated pitfall of them all, the way companies handle their product labeling. We're not just talking about the text on a box here. This is a seriously critical piece of your entire business strategy. Now, what's so fascinating here is the massive mindset shift that's required. Most companies, they treat the label like a marketing task, right? Something you figure out at the very end. But the strategic reality is that your label is your product's core identity as far as regulators are concerned. It literally defines what your innovation is, what you can legally say it does, and how people can use it. And, when that core identity is just an afterthought, the costs get very real very fast. We're talking about delayed launches that just crush your momentum. We're talking about market claims that don't line up with your patent, weakening your rights. You could even be looking at regulatory enforcement. The point is, getting the label wrong can hamstring your business before you even really get started. All right, let's move on to our second big pitfall, and you'll see how these things start to connect. This one is all about how you manage improvements to your product after it's on the market, what the industry calls supplements. The common view? People see supplements as just reactive paperwork. A bureaucratic headache you deal with when you have to change a manufacturing process or something. But the strategic view? They are a powerful tool for building momentum. If you handle them right, supplements let your product evolve and improve and adapt, all without losing its approved status or slowing you down. But when you're just reacting, the dangers really start to stack up. Your product's progress stalls because you're constantly waiting for new approvals, you submit incomplete data, and your filings get bounced, which throws your whole timeline into chaos. And maybe worst of all, a disorganized, reactive approach here can tangle up your patent strategy and make you miss out on key competitive advantages. And that brings us to our third pitfall. This is where the stakes get incredibly high. It's a last-minute scramble we see happen way too often, and it's all about something called a patent term extension, or PTE for short. So what exactly is PTE? Well, it's pretty simple. Your 20-year patent clock. It starts ticking the day you file your application, long before your product is anywhere near the market. PTE is basically the law's way of giving you back some of that precious time, that market exclusivity that got eaten up by years and years of reviews and trials. And this timeline just shows you what a race against the clock it really is. See? The clock starts. Then years of your patent life just vanish during the regulatory review. The second your product gets approved, bam! This tiny little window opens up for you to file for PTE and get some of that incredibly valuable time back. It's a critical and very time-sensitive opportunity. So how much time are we talking about here? You can reclaim up to 5 years. Think about that. 5 more years of market exclusivity. 5 more years to build your brand and capture revenue. The value is just immense, which is why getting this right is completely non-negotiable. And yet, it's almost painful how often companies just forfeit this opportunity because of simple, avoidable mistakes. Missing that super strict 60-day filing deadline, that's a killer. Choosing the wrong patent from your portfolio to extend, submitting incomplete paperwork. These aren't some complex legal failures. They're basic administrative errors that can literally cost a company its future. Okay, so we've walked through the maze. We've seen the traps. The big question now is, how do you actually get through it successfully? The solution isn't to try and manage each of these things better on their own. It's about managing them all together with a single, unified strategy. This strategy really rests on 3 core pillars. First, you've got to connect your teams. Your R&D folks, your legal team, your regulatory experts, they cannot be working in silos. They need to be in constant communication. Second, plan your milestones. Future label changes and product supplements shouldn't be surprises. They need to be part of the product roadmap from the start. And third, track everything from day one. Your PTA case doesn't start after approval. It starts the second your product enters the regulatory process. It really all comes down to this idea. Labeling changes, supplements, and patent term extensions, they aren't separate chores on a to-do list. They are all threads in the exact same fabric. The claims on your label, they affect your patent strength. The timing of a supplement, that can impact your PTE eligibility. Once you see them as parts of a whole, that's when you can build a strategy that's truly defensible. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own innovation. Is your post-approval strategy just a series of reactions, or is it a unified, proactive plan that's actually built to protect and maximize the value of your work for years to come? Because honestly, the answer to that question could define your company's entire future.